I always had a dream that my makeup bag would be all my own products, but I never thought it would actually happen.
In terms of failures, what is a standout moment?
I went into business with someone and it just didn't work out, and it was a nightmare to get out of. It showed me how different people can be when...
What's next for AYU?
I won't lie, the last couple of years have been really, really stressful, but I'm really, really excited for what we're doing and where we're going. I definitely think we have the ability to go global.
AYU is a trendless brand and you're focusing on timeless products. How do you decide what to bring out and when?
So when we say we're trendless, what I mean by that is...
Hello and welcome back to the show. I am delighted to have Suzie O'Neill on the Lower Down Experience today. Suzie is the founder and CEO of AYU Cosmetics, which is a brand that she launched in 2014 after spending many years as a makeup artist and beauty educator. Suzie's journey into the world of beauty began early with a deep love for makeup and skincare. She was encouraged by her mother to study beauty and she found her passion and soon became an expert in the field. Her experience in makeup artistry and her desire for a better work-life balance after having her first child pushed her to start AYU. Now, I'm not so sure if launching a new business is going to give you a better work-life balance, but we'll find out in the show from Suzie if that actually did happen. She wanted to create products that were simple, timeless and accessible, focusing on real beauty and inclusivity. AYU Cosmetics is known for using real women in its campaigns to promote authenticity and relatability. We will also discuss Suzie's love for running and her marathons, as well as whether or not she actually did manage to achieve that work-life balance. Welcome to the show, Suzie. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Suzie. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a million. I did try and rope Suzie into doing a run after the podcast, but actually we figured out we'd both be just a little bit too tired, and it's also raining, so we'll have to do that another day. Suzie, I have long been an admirer of yours online, so maybe we could just kind of take it back to the start about why you launched your brand and what your vision was, and if that vision has changed. Actually, I'd be interested in hearing that.
Well, I started it initially because I was teaching beauty and makeup in a college, and at that stage there wasn't all the brands there is now. So I'm a big believer that your tools are super important. So I was aware that my students couldn't afford the high-end brands that were available back then. So I wanted to just create a small set of brushes for them that they could use, because I felt it would make the teaching and learning of makeup easier for them. And so that's what I did. And when I started to give them brushes, they started asking for friends and family. And I thought to myself, there might be a little bit of a gap in the market here for me. And it just kind of coincided at the same time that I had just had my first child, Ollie, and where I was working, they didn't get maternity cover for me. So after 6 weeks, I went back in. He was only tiny, and I was working 6 days a week. 3 of those days were 12-hour days. And I just felt... I always think the Sarah Blakely comment where she said, it wasn't her movie. I felt to myself, this isn't my life. This can't be what I am all about. Like that I have this brand new baby I'm not getting to see. And so I decided to take the plunge and start in to try and sell the brushes to make a living.
That's where it all began.
That's where it all began. And really, when I think of it now, I don't know, I mustn't have been thinking straight, because we had just built our house and our builders went bankrupt, so we lost a load of money. So we couldn't afford for us to lose the wage coming in a month. And, when I think of it, it just was mad, because I had no childcare, no nothing. But I just felt there just had to be something more,
Yeah.
I never thought it would be what it is now, but I always had a dream that my makeup bag would be all my own products, but I never thought it would actually happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you started with the brushes, and then how quickly did you transcend into makeup? Yeah.
The makeup we didn't launch until 2018. And it was our signature palette was the first palette. Because during the time with the brushes, I had another child, my daughter Chloe. And so everything was a bit mad for a while. And to be honest, the reason I went into the makeup and developing makeup myself was because during that time, I kind of lost my confidence in myself, because I had 2 really small kids. I was trying to start this business. I just stopped kind of taking care of myself, and confidence was at an all-time low, and I just wanted to hide away. But I do remember saying to Alan one day, just saying, I can't do this anymore. I want to get up tomorrow morning and I'm going to get dressed as if I'm going to the office. And I'm going to do my makeup and all that, as pretending that I was going to the office, even though I was working from home the whole time. And I did. And I just remember how quickly my confidence came back and how I started to feel like myself again. And I wanted other women to feel like that, because I was seeing people, around, never taking their eyes off the ground. And I was like, it's not fair that we get to this point, like we should be seen as well. And so that's when I started doing the videos. And that then, from the videos came people asking for lessons, which then in turn turned into classes all over the country. And we had hundreds of women coming to classes before COVID hit. And it was from that, they kept saying to me, I just want, at that time there was all those eyeshadow palettes of 28 colours or so. And they were like, I just want a really easy palette that'll take me from day to night. And that's where our 5-colour signature palette came from, which is still our bestseller, and it's still my favourite eyeshadow palette.
I agree with that as well, because this 28, I wouldn't know where to begin. And all these range of colours, I just want a few browns.
Yes.
A little beige.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm not an artist myself. So yeah.
But that's what was the key for me, was that you didn't have to really be like amazing at makeup to be able to do your makeup. Because people found it always intimidating to do makeup or to even go into counters, and I just felt that shouldn't be the case. It was always about making it accessible for everybody. And also for me, I wanted a brand that was really high quality. It looked and felt like luxury, but that everybody could afford. So that's something we've stayed really true to, and it's one of the reasons why we've always kind of done direct to consumer as well, so that we don't have to take in that middleman who would then bump the prices up on us, So it's trying to get it from A to B as efficiently as possible. And also we love to educate women as well. And we love to be able to take that extra care in looking after them too. So you kind of miss that sometimes if you go too mass, I think.
So you were selling only online originally?
Yeah.
Okay, and then have you launched
through Facebook? I didn't have a website initially.
Through Facebook?
Yeah.
Wow, those were the days. And that was even before Instagram kind of came along, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember when I started posting on Facebook, I decided I was going to go online and call myself Fabulous Pharmacist. It was just pictures and I didn't even know how to do videos. I only started doing videos really during COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, it was only like a few years ago. But that Facebook then, those makeup tutorials, then that's how everything kind of came about.
Yeah. So like that, I initially, I built a little kind of garden room at home to do makeup lessons in. But then I was getting requests from people all over the country, and I figured, how am I going to get to them and still make this work? So that's why we started to do our classes. And then we built the website from there. But it's amazing. Like some of the videos back then went viral, and it was just nutty. Like,
and when you look back on them, you go, "Oh my god,
oh my god, it's awful." Yeah. And it's typical. One of the ones that went viral first, I had just come in from a run and I looked awful. My hair was greasy. I was in a dirty jumper, and I was thinking, why was that one the one that went?
But you know what? That is that. Because that's what most people look like.
Yeah, it's true.
They're coming in from their run and they're not looking perfect. I think that's what's relatable about your brand and about you.
Yeah, that's again something I am really, really passionate about, is that I always come on without my makeup on. I have rosacea, so my skin is always red, and I have really sensitive skin. So I always believe that it's better for the women to see that, to see what I can do with just a few little things. I don't have to wear loads, but I can make the best of myself. Because, I don't like watching people do makeup on people who are perfect to begin with, because you're not hiding anything. Like, if you've lines and wrinkles, that's different to cover and to make up than somebody who has no lines and wrinkles. So we've been really passionate about that. And everyone who works with AYU as well, we all believe that to our core, that we want women to see themselves and just see what they can be if they want, as well, like just to make the most of them, make the best of them so they feel their best.
I find it interesting that you said that before you decided to do go down the makeup route, you had your 2 kids and you just weren't feeling yourself. You were just you're in that rut that we kind of all feel. I suppose we kind of lose ourselves a little bit. And that happens women postpartum, but it also happens women as they go into midlife. And this idea of the women becoming invisible, which is a horrible term.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's so important that women are shown ways, and it can just be the most simple thing that they can do to boost their confidence a bit.
Yeah,
isn't
absolutely.
It?
Like, for me, even now, it's sometimes just the smallest bit of concealer will make me feel much better about myself. Because I know I'll just look a little bit brighter, and I don't need a full face to do that, but I just want little things. Like there was a time where I would drive into the supermarket. If I saw someone's car, I knew I'd just drive back out again because I didn't want to see anybody. Yeah. And then it wasn't until after, I suppose, I started to, and it's a funny thing, you know, that when I started to kind of dress as if I was going to the office again and doing my face and whatnot, people started to treat me differently as well. It's almost as if they thought I was a little bit more successful then. So all of a sudden I was getting more respect. But also then I became super aware when I was going to the school of women who never took their eyes off the ground or, you know, wouldn't start a conversation with you or things like that. And like, it really killed me because I was like, God, it's not fair that they feel like that. You know, they don't, like you said, no one deserves that. Like, we don't want to be invisible just because we're mums now or you're a carer or something. You're still a person and you're still yourself. So it's really important to remember that. And it's not selfish. That was one of the things as well, is that I kind of maybe for a while thought to myself, am I being selfish because I want to look good or I want to do myself up? But it's not, because I think anything you can do to make yourself feel good, when you feel good, you exude that and then other people feel good. But I often find even if I don't get out for my run after work, like my mood wouldn't be the same as if I did.
Oh, tell me about it. So do you run after work or before work?
It depends on the day, where I get
Oh God,
time,
I couldn't. So
know.
my energy is between, for exercise is generally in the morning time, but now I'm finding that I don't want to get up and do it first thing. I want to have a little bit of breakfast before I do. But I find if I push it and say, oh, I'll do it in the afternoon, it just never happens. I'm just too exhausted. So I've changed where I really try and get it in before I do anything.
Ideally now I'd go in the morning, but I'm part of my run group. We do it at 7:00 on a Monday and Wednesday. And then I do enjoy, if it's an easy run, doing it in the evening, because then I can just kind of decompress after the day.
Yeah.
But if it was a tough run that I had to do, now the morning would definitely be my preference. My long runs now I always do in the morning.
Yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because I suppose a lot of the stuff that I talk about online is women prioritising that time for themselves, whether it be running, yoga, just going for a walk, whatever it might be. I suppose exercise is so important as we get older. But so many women say, I just don't have the time. And I'm like, you definitely have 10 minutes. And if you do 10 minutes every day for a week, you'll then want to do 15 minutes every day the next week type thing. So how do you prioritise that time, given the fact that you are running this business? And I'm assuming that you're extremely busy and that your idea of wanting more time to yourself or more of a work-life balance in your early years actually maybe hasn't come to fruition until probably fairly recently.
Yeah, definitely. And with the exercise, it's a non-negotiable for me. So sometimes I might have to get up really, really early. Like I might be out at 5:30 or 6 or something like that. Sometimes it's late at night. And then sometimes I will just take an hour during the day if I have a slot. And even the girls in work, I would always say if they want to do a run or something, they can do that and then come in, because I believe everyone works better once they've gotten out and they've just got a run or something in where they feel good. But I often do a lot of my problem solving when I'm running as well. So I'll be thinking about things that are going on in work or at home, and I seem to be able to think much more clearly than if I didn't get out. So it has become a non-negotiable, and like that, it's just something that you have to build into your time. People often say to me, "Oh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time." I'm like, everyone's busy, but if it's a priority, you will do it. And like you said, when you started, even if you did 10 minutes of HIIT training at home every day, you will want to do more, because you'll realise how good you feel after it. Because for me, it's not about the physical side, it's the mental, totally. Like, you know, it definitely keeps me sane. And that's why I always try and encourage the girls in the office to do the same. And I facilitate it for them, because I do believe that it's really, really important.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like, I mean, I would say as well, it's not as if I'm like, oh, you know, I'm gagging to do this, I really want to do it, but it's more that I know I have to do it, and then during it and definitely afterwards I feel good. So I think that people sometimes feel that people who exercise just love exercising, but it's more that what I love is the feeling after I've done the exercise rather than the actual act of it itself. And we can procrastinate till the cows can come, but if you just put on the runners and go, it's just...
Oh, there's many a run that I have that all that's going through my head is that glass of wine I'm having. Get back.
Yeah, or else, oh fuck, I just don't want to be doing this. Yeah, so it is.
The hardest part is definitely putting the runners on.
Yeah.
And that never goes away, I don't think. And I don't believe that everyone's always motivated, because I certainly am not.
No.
Like, I have to kick myself out the door some days. But you don't ever regret it.
No, I know, absolutely not. So can you talk to me a little bit about, you know, you mentioned that AYU is a trendless brand, and you're focusing on timeless products. And how do you decide what new products to introduce? Because I know, you know, even as a brand owner myself, that sometimes you may have, say, 6 products, and then people say, oh, when are you bringing out your next one? And even retailers might go, oh, you need another one now to get a bit more of an emphasis on it, or a bit more like a spotlight on you. How do you decide what to bring out and when?
Well, I guess we in work will always have conversations about what everyone's using and what it is we're missing. So when we say we're trendless, what I mean by that is that we're not, just because something might be big on TikTok or whatever now, we're not going to just jump on that bandwagon and create it. We just want a really, really lovely core range of products for women. So sometimes that might even mean like a new product could be just a reformulated version of something we've had that we want to make it better. Or we're like, what would be a nice addition to your bag that would complement something, not just do it for the sake of it. Because I'm really mindful as well. I'm a terrible saleswoman because often in the shop I'll tell women to put things back. So I'm like, you won't use all that, you know. So it's not about just driving loads of things to people. It's making sure they have the stuff that they'll use and that will be beneficial. So you can get sucked into, like we did about 2 years ago, feel that pressure to have new products, and we deviated from what we would generally do and did some bright colours and things in eyeshadows, and they just weren't successful for us because our woman didn't want them, because that's not what she's into. She wants her classic simple range and the bits that she loves that she'll use time and again. So it was a real good learning lesson for us that we, you know, I believe kind of slower growth and really like cementing yourself with your customers of the products that you're really, really good at, rather than just having loads of stuff for the sake of it.
And it's a very competitive business.
Very, yeah.
So, and how do you manage that competitiveness? Because there's always something new, or there's always a new palette. Like I know now we'll be coming up to Christmas, there'll be all kinds of new palettes brought out and all this. So how do you manage that competitiveness? Is it that you, or even attract new customers? Because there's always going to be like an attrition rate. So how do you find that works for you in your business?
It's hard sometimes, I'll be honest. Like sometimes we have to put our blinkers on because you can get so caught up in what everyone else is doing that it's like, oh my God, do we need to be doing that? But we've, over the last couple of years, really just said, we don't care what anyone else is doing. I believe there's room for everybody because there's always a different customer for a different brand. So what we try and do is really concentrate on our customers and the type of shopper she is and the type of lifestyle she has or he has. And by doing that, I think we're growing our new customers all the time, and it may not be the massive, like really fast growth that some others are doing, but I believe there's going to be longevity in it because we're really concentrating on the people who we are selling products to. I don't know if that's answering the question properly, but
no, it is. It absolutely is. It's this focus on these new products coming out all the time as well, and like, how do you resist, I suppose, the temptation? But you just said a couple of years ago you tried that and it just didn't work because your ladies weren't into the bright pink colours for their eyes, or whatever that might be.
And our customers love the experience, so we're really about experience. It's something I always said, no matter how big the business gets, fast delivery and excellent customer service are two of the big pillars, because it's the customers that keep your brand alive and keep you being able to do the things that you do. So sometimes I feel some brands can lose sight of that once they get to a certain size and they forget who's actually put them there. So for us, it's all about them. Like we are constantly looking for ways to treat our customers. And when you look at Trustpilot, it speaks for itself then. So again, it might be slower growth than some others, but I believe that it's something that'll help to bring us further afield as well when we decide to do that.
Yeah. Can I ask you how you were originally online? I know you're in some retail now, and we'll discuss that. How have consumers changed the ways that they buy? Because you know, a few years ago, no one would have bought any makeup online. And then how do they know what kind of skin colour what foundation might suit their skin colour? How does that work when you're solely online business?
Well, we started online. So even before COVID, we were only online. And what we do, again, is it's a lot to do with educating the customer. So a lot of my videos would be on how to find your own skin tone and your foundation tone. We do video consultations online as well. We have a dedicated team to basically help women find their shades. We use online tools to do it. We send out samples. So we have foundation samples so they can try before they buy. And then obviously through classes as well, they get to try it.
And when you talk about classes, they are
So that would have been our in hotels and stuff.
Okay.
So we would do big classes where people can come, or shade matching events. Now that we have the stores, we can do them in store. But yeah, a lot of the time it could be online, just and through video.
Okay.
If we can set that up.
Yeah.
It's a little more difficult, but I do believe because we're all about educating how to find out your own skin tone and figure it out, that people are able to make better choices in that way.
And do your classes, do you still do them all around the country, or are they concentrated in a specific area?
Well, we're doing them all over the country. We kind of started back doing a few, but things are just so busy. I haven't been able to do a whole lot of them. But I definitely, it's on our list of things we want to do for sure. But we've just literally we just bought and built a new office and warehouse. So we're only moving in there now. So that's taken up a lot of time over the last while.
Well, I went to one of your days. I spoke at one of them there in January.
Yeah.
I was doing, that was literally the day after I did my Viva La Vulva in Galway. Yeah. I was wrecked. But
you were brilliant.
Yeah, it's a lovely atmosphere at the show. And you're basically showing all different types of makeup and different types of women, which is really important. And women are seeing themselves. And then you had a little fashion show and everything, all shapes and sizes, all ages. So it really is, I suppose, a very inclusive way for women to feel like as if they're all seen. Isn't that right?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's so very important. So you recently, you've opened your physical store in Cork, and you have one in Kildare as well.
Yeah.
That was a pop-up, wasn't it?
We were a pop-up in Kildare for about 4 years, and we went permanent last year then.
And how were they working out for you?
It's great. Like Kildare Village, we've always loved. We opened our first one in Kildare during COVID, when actually you weren't even allowed outside your own county. So it was a bit of a mad time to do it, but it was really successful. And we just love being there because it's a really nice location to be in. And then Cork was a big catchment area for us as well. So we wanted to do something down there. And we have a place in Shannon Airport as well. And like that, we've partnered up with a few retailers this year. I don't plan to open any more of my own stores at the moment because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of investment. And I think partnering with selected retailers that we can work really well with would be good for us to have a place in the ground, but without having to do the whole fit out and
of course,
side of things too.
So can you tell us who those retailers are? Are they top secret? So
we have Kilkenny stores, which is amazing. They are really, really brilliant partner to be with. So we've been with them for a few months now, and it's going really well. And
so you have a little counter in the Kilkenny stores?
Yeah, so we're in Liffey Valley, Swords. Next week we're launching in Cork and Galway as well, and then we'll be in Nassau Street for November, December.
And you're not in pharmacies?
No.
And why did you decide not to go into pharmacies?
For us, I never wanted the brand to be mass market. We call ourselves masstige, so it's basically
masstige.
So we've got an affordable price point, but we have a prestigious look and feel. And again, for me, it's all about the customer experience. So I felt just that if we were on a shelf, we wouldn't be able to give the same experience as we can when we have a counter or a store, because it's really, really important to us to have a connection with our customers. So it's just never something I wanted to do, and never an avenue I wanted to go down.
That is fair enough.
I know some people think that's probably not the best business decision sometimes, but I'm here for the long haul. I've no interest in being in and out and trying to make a quick splash.
Okay.
I want to create roots to make a really long-standing brand.
And what about the UK? Have you set your sights on?
Yeah, so there's definitely opportunities for the UK as well now. And we already have a good customer base over there online, just organically from being on Instagram and Facebook and that. So next year is definitely a year we're concentrating more in the UK.
Okay.
So that's going to be exciting. It'll be a whole different ball game, obviously, but I think it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, you have to use AI to give yourself a British accent when you're doing your lives over there, I'd say. That's probably what it is, isn't it? So you've grown significantly in the last number of years, and obviously with your, branching into retail and that, and with new product launches. What's next, do you think, for AYU? Where do you envisage the brand evolving to over the next 5 years? What would your pipe dream be?
Well, I definitely think we have the ability to go global. So I think that the way we position ourselves and how we do things, that we have that ability, and we are making changes within the company at the moment to go after that. And then even with building and having our own premises that we own now and have proper routes, we really have the ability, I think, as well to just become the best at what we do online as well. Because again, it's difficult for sometimes if you're selling things online to get that real great customer experience. But I believe anyway that we have it down, because our girls all like down to every little bit of the packaging, it has to be done perfectly so that when the customer gets it, she's getting a gorgeous treat. And we will be fulfilling globally, like we do already from our place in Kildare. But like it'll open us up to even more markets. Like we have a place in the UK as well that we fulfill from, because it was easier to do it like that. But we're making changes as to where we can bring it back into Kildare again to go from there, so that it's kind of the control freak nature of mine as well. But we want to have our eyes on it start to finish, so that we know how it's been presented and how it's getting to our customer.
Okay, so you've packaged it yourselves and sent it out rather than using like a fulfillment agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And even having to build the warehouse in order to do that, that does take investment.
We've self-funded everything, so we've been very lucky in that sense that we've been able to do that.
Okay.
But it's something that's so important, because I did try a few fulfillment companies and I didn't feel the experience was the same for the customer. So it always felt better to bring it back into us.
When you go into your formulation of product mode, what does that look like for you in terms of timelines and development?
So long.
Are you like, right now, I'm going to go and do this, and it just takes, and you just bite down and do it?
It's such a long process. I don't think people have any concept of actually how long it takes. Well, you do, but most people wouldn't. Like to get a formula bang on, God, it can take up to 2 years at least for certain products. And some products just never make it because it just isn't right. And then obviously all the testing and all that kind of thing. But it starts with the idea, and then we have a few factories and we work really closely with them. So I'm not going to say I'm the mastermind mixing things. I'm not. But I can guide them into what exactly it is that I'm looking for and how I want it to last and sit in the skin. And then we obviously do lots of wear tests and things like that. But it's so much longer. Like our bare skin tint that just came out recently, I think we're, how many? Oh God, I'm going to say it's at least like 14 or 15 months. And that was a reformulation of a different product that I wanted to improve. But it just took so long. So long.
Yeah, it's almost like when it happens, you're like, oh, deflated.
Yeah, I know, it's true.
It's like it should have happened last year. Yeah. I know.
You think you'd be able to say, oh, I want to do this, and then we'll get it out for then. It's just not the way at all. And even our SPF, like obviously that was our first time doing an SPF, and that is such a long process, even longer than everything else, because obviously it has to go through so many tests and it has to be perfect. But I didn't envisage how long that process would take either.
And with SPF as well, it has to feel good, because so many of them feel tacky.
Yeah.
You know, and even I know myself from, just mixing stuff in the pharmacy, how just one little different ingredient can just make or break something. Yeah. So it's so important that you do spend that time getting it right.
And then making sure that it's going to sit on every type of skin as well, because, what one formulation will sit on someone with normal skin, if they've got drier skin or dehydrated skin, it mightn't, glide on the same, and you want to make sure everyone gets the same experience from it. So, that takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
No, absolutely not. Have you, is there, in terms of failures that you go, gosh, if I'd known then what I know now, I never would have even gone down that path, or advice to other entrepreneurs that were looking to get into this industry?
I'm like, how long have you got for?
I know. Like, what is a standout moment where you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this?
A few years ago, when we got our premises that we just moved out of, I went into business with someone to create a fulfillment company to try and, the thought behind it was that we would have our cosmetics and we'd do the fulfillment ourselves. But basically, I set up this company to try and give an opportunity to someone who I thought a lot of at the time. And it just didn't work out. And there's still messiness at the back of it. And it is something I'm like, if I could give one piece of advice, I'd be like, do not rush into business with anybody. Make sure who you're doing business with. I own AYU fully, so I'm fine there. But this other thing was a nightmare, and it was a nightmare to get out of. And it was just, to me, like it showed me how people can be, how different people can be when money gets involved and things like that. And so I'd be really careful with who you do business with. And I'd also another thing I would say is, this is separate to this, but is to respect yourself and don't let people walk all over you. Because I've had many times in the past, because I'm a girl and I work at makeup, that
and you're blonde and you're little.
And I don't get the respect that I should. And I'd be quite vocal with putting someone back in their place if they do that, especially a male counterpart, because I think sometimes people look at others and they might think they might know more than them because you're only starting out. But you have to trust yourself and keep that little bit of self-respect so that nobody can walk all over you.
That's interesting, because I would have thought, in the makeup industry, I would have thought it's mainly females that you're coming across.
No, it's very male dominated still. Like, there's a lot more coming through now, but behind the scenes, a lot of men.
They're the puppeteers. They're pulling the strings.
Yeah, I was only telling the girls the other day that years ago, I was approached. Someone they wanted to buy AU, and they told me I could just be the face of it. I could just be out front, and I was thinking, well, I got it here. I don't need to be just the face. Like, what are you going to do for me? And another time, I had a man say to me, asked me, did I realize I wasn't playing marbles?
Jesus
I was like,
Christ.
well, I think I do, considering I am here. But you have to be. There's still so much that you have to just. Because I often find as well, like, if you were a man, people would think you were a really good businessman. But if you're a woman, you're just a bitch for having a strong mind.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Or what is it? If you're a man, you are. If you're a woman, you're aggressive, and if you're a man, you're decisive or something.
Yeah.
It's two words, and they're used very differently when it comes to men and women. Sure, I've been told in meetings I'm a great girl. Oh, sure, aren't you a great girl? Or, someone male has been asked the question that's sitting beside me, even though I'm the one with all the answers. But look, I think that if you treat them with respect back, and they realise actually what they're doing, what they're dealing with, and that you need to be on an even keel, they'll often actually take a step back and realise. But yeah, it's hard to erase years of paternalistic thinking, isn't it?
And see, that's the thing. I think now I'm obviously much stronger, and I would get a lot more respect. But I think when you're starting out, so that's why I would say, like, if someone was starting out, just to back yourself. You have to back yourself.
Are there any standout moments, or is there one standout moment where you're like, oh my God, this is going to be brilliant. I know this is it.
Well, I actually had one recently when I went into the new premises and looked around, and I just thought, oh my God, the possibilities that are here are just endless. I'm so excited for it, because I won't lie, I've had the last couple of years have been really, really stressful. There's been some times where I thought this business would break me altogether and I wanted to throw in the towel. But I can safely say I'm really, really excited again for what we're doing and where we're going.
Okay. I think it's just full of roller coasters though, isn't it?
My sister said to me when I started the business first, because the very first order I got in, I didn't have any idea about VAT and import duties and things like that. So I got landed with a big bill, and I was like, I don't have any money to pay for this. Like, I had nothing, because I used everything that we had to get our first order in. And she kindly lent me some money to pay for that bill. But she said, when I got the things in, the brushes in, the background of that story is that the ferrule, so the part that attaches the wooden part to the brush, was faulty on 1,000 of them. And
oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, because I didn't have money to send it back, around like that. And my sister, anyway, I rang her in a panic, and she said, now that you're in business, every day there's going to be bumps in the road, and you just have to learn how to ride the bumps. She said, and it's just part and parcel. And it just stuck with me.
And is she a businesswoman herself?
She was working with my dad at the time. She actually has her own business now. She's in faux flowers and a lot of homewares and things. The Irish Country Home is Laura's business. But I just remember her saying that, and genuinely ever since, I just think, right, this is another bump. And sometimes those bumps can be massive and they can really knock you out for a while, but it is part and parcel of it. But I'd say you probably agree as well that there's probably something addictive about that, living on the edge a little bit all the time.
Yes, I do wonder sometimes, Jesus, why am I doing this? and it's almost like whack-a-mole, isn't it? Because you deal with one problem and then another one just pops up. Or else several pop up at the same time. And then I wonder, is it because the highs are so high that you're always craving that high?
Yeah.
So you get a little bump, but you're like, oh, look, I know how good it feels when things are all going smoothly. So yeah, but it does seem sometimes that there's more bumps than there are highs.
Yes, there can be at times, all right, for sure. And everything as you grow just gets more and more expensive.
Oh yeah,
And,
because you think about scaling and you think, oh sure, listen, it's easy. Like we did this, sure, it's grand. Sure, look what we did here. But actually, when you scale, you need more investment into that. You need more manpower. You need more thought.
And things are just getting so competitive online as well now that you almost need to be an expert in so many different fields that, it is difficult. I'm blessed with a great team of people. But I remember back when I was starting out and there was only the couple of us, it was so hard to try and cover everything, But all those expertise, they cost money and, and just to be seen online, because it's such a noisy space in general, not just in beauty, but our attention spans are kind of so short because you're flicking the whole time through phones.
And do you pay a lot on advertising, like paid spend behind?
We only started that last year. So we were, again, really lucky that everything was organic really until then. But now we would use Google ads and Facebook ads. Probably still not to the extent that we should. But it's something we're working on like that. We're building out the team to do that as well, because I wouldn't have the first notion of what to do for any of it. Because it's a whole other language altogether.
And how many people are on your team?
We've 36 now.
36?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge team.
Yeah. So there's plenty of us now,
Yeah. And do you find though in the beginning days, those acorn days, like you have people just never mind double job when they're quadruple job, and as in they almost have to be like experts in a lot of different areas?
It's still kind of like that. Because, we're still, I suppose... there's still relatively a small amount of us for what we try and do. So there's definitely a few of us that have varying roles that you're kind of jumping in and out of. But I think that's the same in any sort of startup. I think somebody who's on a team in a business that is a startup, that's what they want as well. Like there is an adrenaline.
You either want
part
that or you don't. You're either for that or you're not. And are they all full-time workers or? Yeah. Wow, that's a huge amount of staff.
Yeah, so we're genuinely blessed. Like the team we have right now is the best you could ask for. Everyone is so nice. Everyone's on the same page. They're super hard workers. It's just, that's not easy to come across because we've had a few. I was going to say, staffing
issues can be, they can suck the life out of a business.
And we've had a few very bad apples through, but I think my thing as well is always like one bad apple can rot the whole place, so you have to get them out as quickly as possible. And that might sound a bit ruthless, but it's true, because again, you can't work efficiently and well unless everybody's on the same page and everyone believes in the same goal, and we're really, really, really lucky that we have that.
And does your husband work with you?
Yeah, he does now.
Does he? Does he like it?
He does, yeah. No, he's definitely outnumbered, but he does. He loves it.
Is it all females?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you in Enterprise
That's
Ireland?
That's not intentional, by the way, just in case there's no
oh, it is.
We're welcoming men,
but has to be female. Could you imagine if you put that on your job spec?
Oh, goodness.
Are you in with any of the, I'd say, okay, so you're beyond the LEO help now that you're the 36 capacity. So are you with Enterprise Ireland at all? Or
we actually, they're coming out to us on Friday because they have approached us a few times, and this is going to be, I'm going to sound so stupid here now, but they've gotten onto us a good few times, but I'm really not good at paperwork, and when I see all the forms I have to fill out, I'm like, no, I can't do it.
You sound like me.
So yeah, well,
I hate paperwork. I'm very bad reading it, or even sometimes responding to emails, and because sometimes I'll see a question come in and I'm like, just the anxiety bills, and oh my God, I can't believe I have to sit down now and answer this. So then I'll just put it to one side and forget about it, or I'll put it in I'll do that when I'm not so busy day, and then sure, it never happens.
Never happens, I know.
So that's gas, because with Enterprise Ireland
it's amazing.
You need to be tenacious and fill out the forms and everything, but they do provide great support. And
incredible.
For female entrepreneurs too, I think they're really looking to try and get behind people. So
so they're actually they're coming out to us on Friday, and we've chatted to a few really nice people, and they genuinely, I would advise anyone to be working, and with the local enterprise offices as well, because we did a few years ago work with them, and they were brilliant. They were so good to help. They helped us to fund one of the job roles in the early days as well, and just the support.
Yeah, they've helped us too with that as well, which is great. And just a little bit of a sounding board for advice, because when you're starting out, and if you haven't had business, I don't know, if you haven't done business in college or something like that, and you've no clue, which I didn't. I was running a pharmacy, but I was a pharmacist's brain. So in terms of everything that goes on behind the scenes, I had no clue. So even from that point of view, they can be helpful. They can put you in touch with people who have done it before, not necessarily in the same business, but and there isn't a playbook really for business. Sure, there isn't. I think that's important for people to know because, if someone sat down with you and you said, okay, Suzie, write a book on how to build a successful online cosmetics business with the eventual getting into retails, and you did that, it wouldn't be the same for the next person, sure?
No, never. No. And every day's a school day, isn't it? You're just constantly learning. There's something new that's been thrown at you. But I think it's a really good thing if you can find somebody to talk to. Recently, over the last year, I've someone I chat to a lot. I suppose call him my mentor. He's done everything that I'm doing before, and that's been really, really helpful because I do think that that's where I got really, really stressed was that and you probably understand this as well, that it's the loneliest job in the world at times because there's nobody around you that can understand the pressure that's on your shoulders. And it's really, really good to have somebody to chat to who maybe has done it, even if it's not in the same space. But I mean, I always think like everything is sales at the end of the day. So it doesn't really matter what the crux of business are the same for a lot of different businesses and what you're trying to achieve. But even to be able to just offload onto somebody who's been there and done it is massive.
Yeah.
I probably, I don't know if I could have got through some of the harder times before if I didn't have him now that I was able to sit and chat to.
In terms of work-life balance, is that a thing?
No.
She says it straight.
No, I don't. I don't believe. For me, at the moment, it's not. No, it's not. But my kids are now 11 and 13, so they're aware of what's going on and what we're doing. But I am I don't know. Maybe some people have a cracked. I certainly don't. I really don't do anything outside work and my family and the running. Like I run to keep sane, but then it's just kids' activities and their sports. And then it's work and that's it. Like I don't have a social life. I don't see my family as much as I should. Like my brothers and sisters and everything. But they understand what I'm doing as well. So they understand that that's kind of just a sacrifice you have to make right now.
Oh, I'd be the same. It's the business and your family, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even sometimes I say, I haven't even got out for a coffee with my mum. Never mind, going on a night out with the girls. It can just be tricky. But then and then sometimes the way you'd book something in advance and then it's coming up and you're like, oh, God, I just wish I didn't book that. I just wanted to stay in.
I know, yeah. Because you're so tired.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert anyway, so I'm happy in my own little space. But I probably do. Sometimes I think, I should make more of an effort. But I am just tired a lot. I love nothing more than to sit down in a glass of wine in my pajamas and just chill out when the week is done. It's.
Oh, I do that as well. I actually love drinking wine when I'm cooking.
Yes, yeah.
That's my favourite glass. Not even when I'm sitting down with the dinner. It's actually while I'm cooking. I love to just sip on it.
Yeah.
I look like an awful lush when I'm doing my cookery videos, and I look like I'm drinking vino all the time. Someone actually said to me, "Do you ever not drink?" And it's like, it looks like that because everything that I'm posting, I might have a glass of wine, but I'm not doing that every night.
I
of the
know,
week, that kind of way. But no, I'm definitely not.
Maybe just 6.
Exactly, maybe just 6. And I was saying that to someone recently. They said to me, "Oh, you should, I've taken a Friday off work. You should try and, a 4-day week's great." And I'm like, a 4-day week? You joke me? I'd be lucky to get a 6-day week.
I know.
It's just because it's all encompassing and it never stops. Sure, it doesn't, because even when the day's over, there's always stuff that can be done.
And you know what? Someone said to me recently there, they made a comment that your kids are only small for so long and, kind of insinuating that I work too much or whatever. But I wasn't till afterwards. I was thinking, I wish I had a thought to answer that back really, because it's like someone has to pay the bills. So what am I meant to do? Like, I have to work because I have bills to pay and I have kids to raise. So they're part and parcel of everything. And since they were babies, I had them strapped to me or I had them in buggies at meetings and everything. So I had no choice. That was just how it had to happen. So we don't all have the luxury of taking all this time off all the time. I'm sure my day will come where I will get to, take the pedal off a little bit. But right now, I don't have that luxury. I'm growing something and building something, and I actually think that it's great for them to see it. I'm sure your kids are super proud of what you're doing, and
maybe not the running around as a vulva,
well, maybe
but
not that part.
But yeah,
in time they will.
A couple of them have said, "I want to be I want to run my own business now as well. So
Yeah,
they
it's amazing.
They see it, and they.
But seeing you and your husband working together as well, like I think it's such a nice thing for them to see, you know, and like you're such a good role model in that way. Then I think so. Again, there's no right fit for everybody, so you just have to do what feels right for you and your family, I think. So yeah, the balance will come someday. It's just not there
Someday.
yet. Yeah. Although the one good thing about my kids at their age now is that they can come for a run with me, and they love to do that. Or, you know, Ollie rides horses, so I might ride out with him. Or, you know, there's.
I wanted to ask you about that because your WhatsApp profile picture is you jumping over a big hedge on a horse.
Yeah, so I've always ridden horses. I have a horse.
You love a bit of riding, do you, Suzie? You dirty cow. Love an L ride.
Yes, I do ride horses. Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I love that. I don't get as much time at the moment to do it, but I have my horse Da Vinci at home, and he's my first baby. I have him over 15 years now.
And is he out in your garden?
Yeah, he's out the back. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
And who looks after him then? Because it takes a lot to look after a horse, isn't it? The mucking out and
So
everything.
well, you see, my husband's family, they're horse people. So like it's and I grew up riding horses as well. But we've the farm at home. My brother-in-law's farm. Alan used to work with him, you see, before he came to AU full time. So we have the fields and everything at home, and the stables are there. So I have stables in the farm, so they just stay out in the field behind my house in the summer, and then they'll go in for the winter. So.
And do the kids love it? Is it only Ollie that rides the horses, or does your daughter as well?
Chloe has a little pony at the back that she doesn't really ride anymore. She had a few falls, so her nerves are a little bit gone from it. But yeah, it's a pity now. But you know, Ollie does still. Yeah, he loves it.
Okay.
So it's nice. They're nice things to spend time with the kids because, well, when Chloe rode out as well, like you'd go out and just go for a hack for an hour, and you know you hear so much of their day when you're out there because nobody has phones or anything on them for that time.
I actually find the best conversation you get out of them is when you're trying to put them to bed at night and they're coming out with all kinds of stories. Jesus Christ, never forget tucking one of them in there. It was recently enough. And he was telling me all kinds of stuff that had been going on. And I was like, how has this been going on for months and you're only telling me now? Because, you know, I was lying down in the bed with him and he was yapping away. But I find the best time to get the conversations out of them is when you're driving them somewhere in the car. So actually, I don't mind to be in the taxi mom, really, because you get to hear their little stories. And I think sometimes they can tell you things that are a little bothering them because they're not giving you eye contact. So it's and if there's something embarrassing that they want to talk about, and you know, I don't let them use the phones in the car, but I try not to. So they have to talk to me. And because someone did say that to me once, it's because they're not looking at you, and they're almost like just talking. You know, while they're looking out the window, it's easier for everyone. So yeah, I don't mind those are the little moments that you get with them that are nice as well, aren't they?
And it's funny, like sometimes I complain about having to go here, there, and everywhere for matches at the weekends, but then if you get a weekend off, you're like, oh, what do I do with myself? Like, you know, you kind of miss the trips to go and do something like that with them.
Well, recently, only this summer now with mine. So my youngest is 11 now, and only this summer they've all just been doing their own thing. And I've missed it. I went down to Dundrum just before the summer, and it was the first time I've been in Dundrum without one of them. And then I came back and the house was empty. And even my husband was like, Jesus, it's a bit lonely around here, isn't it? It was a Saturday because everyone was out doing their own thing. Yeah. So it does happen quite organically, and it seems to happen overnight, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Ollie now is big into the golf as well, so the whole summer he was just golfing all the time. So he'd be down the golf course obviously for hours, and then he was going in for something to eat with his friends after. So he totally has got his own independence now. Chloe, she's 11 as well, so she's still very much a mummy's girl at the minute. So I'm trying to be just like...
Does she love the makeup yet? Or
no.
Okay.
No, she's super sporty. She loves baking. So she's already told me that she'll take over the office and warehouse when she's older, but she's turning it into a bakery. She's getting rid of the makeup and she's going to have a bakery.
That's gas. She's ambitious for herself already.
Yeah, oh, she's definitely going to have something of her own. She's already buying and selling everybody. Yeah.
That's gas. And did you ever think that you'd have this, like, were you ever... like thinking like Chloe when you were her age, or?
I think I always was going to work for myself because I had a beauty salon years and years ago of my own. And even when spray tan machines came out first, like donkeys years ago, myself and my sister set up a mobile tanning business called the Golden Girls. So we used to go around to people's houses and spray them, and we were making a fortune.
Yeah.
But I've always had little businesses along the way as I was growing up, little ways to make money that I think I've always, and I always tried as well when I was working, I would always change my hours to suit myself so I wouldn't have to go into traffic and stuff. So it was always trying to do things. And in fairness, my employers always let me because I did my job.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm real like that with the girls as well in work, that I don't, for me, it's never about 9 to 5. If they're doing their work, they do their work. It's not up to me to dictate when they need to be here.
Yeah,
you know?
okay.
So I think that works well.
Well, how does that work then, though, if someone's taking the piss? How soon do you find them out?
Oh, very quickly.
Okay. And were you good in school, Suzie? No. You weren't? Okay.
No, I failed my leaving. So
did you?
Yeah.
And did you repeat it then?
No.
Okay.
I was a messer. Yeah.
Were you? Okay.
I don't think it was a messer actually such. I was just creative. I remember one time my principal said to me, I think I was in 6th year, and he said, if you spent more time in the books than you do, or as much time on the books as you do that hair and face, you'd be doing well.
Okay, so you're always into the makeup.
I see my hair was purple and pink and every different colour. Like I was always a bit out there, you know, with my looks. So you never know which way I'd turn up to school. Just never could concentrate really in school though. I don't think, I think it's so much different now, thankfully. Every different type of learner is accommodated for. I think I was seen more as a nuisance, or like that I talked too much and I couldn't concentrate. Whereas, you know, I would have got more help nowadays if I was in school. It would have been directed a little better, I think.
Yeah, they're definitely more open to different ways of learning. I still think they have a good way to go, though. It's still quite academic focused, and this learning by rote for the Leaving Cert as well.
Yes,
you know, that hasn't changed much. Now I know that they have the applied Leaving Cert too, which is a little bit different. But I still think that in terms of the arts and people that are really creative, that it's lacking a lot in making those people feel seen, and then also feel like as if they're really. The creativity is really worthy. Yeah. Because it's almost like you get all A's or you don't. Or,
I know.
You know, that kind of way, which is really unfortunate, because actually the people that I'm surrounded with in my business, they're all creatives.
All creative, yeah.
Yeah, and even like a couple of them said I was made feel so stupid in school.
Oh, same, yeah. I absolutely was, you know, and it was always a case of could do better. And it's like, well, you know... Really. Yeah. And you know, that caused me to rebel for years. Like I was wild, because it was just like you were never... good enough, so it just made you go the whole other direction.
Do you have any wild stories for me?
Too many, but I can't say them here.
Oh, really? You're like, my kids might listen to this someday. I can't possibly do it.
No, that would totally ruin my image now.
And look at you, you're like dressed in black and white and perfect face, perfect hair, and
the hair's not perfect. I just said to Zoe, I have tape extensions in, and I took some of them out of the weekend, and then Chloe cut my hair. So if we looked super close at my hair, we'd know that it's not.
Is Chloe a hairdresser?
No, I just wanted them out, so I just gave her a scissors and said, "Here, cut the back of my hair."
That's serious belief. I've cut my kids' fringes and they've been awful. During COVID, we cut them. They're like little, you know, all crooked and everything. Suzie, is there anything that you'd love people to know, or any aspiring entrepreneurs? I know you said about the, you know, believe in yourself and that, but anyone that will be looking up going, God, I'd love to start my own business, but I don't know where to start, whether it be in cosmetics or whether it be in any baking, kind of industry.
I think you have to, and it's probably going to not be a good answer, but it's just starting. And you're not going to be perfect when you start, but you have to start somewhere. So often I meet people who are trying to get every little thing right before they start the business. And I'm like, don't, just start it. Because when we started, I used to send out our brushes in white manila envelopes, and it was handwritten labels. And, you know, it was, you know, they didn't look anything like they look now, but you have to start somewhere. You don't have all the money and funds to start things straight away, but if you can just get going and look after your customer, you can perfect it, and you know, you can make it better as you go along. But I think too many people wait too long, and then they think too much into it and they won't do it then. I've always been driven by that thing of like, I don't want to be at my deathbed surrounded by the people I could have been, you know, like, so for me, it's just like, go for it. And if it fails, it fails. And I'm not afraid to fail in front of people. So I don't care if something doesn't work. I'll try it anyway, because I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. And I think, you know, there's so many people with brilliant ideas out there that just won't, for fear that the neighbour might have something to say about them for giving it a go.
Yes,
or
they end up
showing
sitting
themselves
their
online.
hands then, and they just don't do it. And
Like I meet so many entrepreneurs as well that have started businesses, but they won't go online. And they don't go online because they're afraid people will like slag them or whatever. And I'm like, but you've such a lovely story. And like, you're so nice and personable. People will love you. Like, you know, they have to know. Or I kind of try and say to them, remember, that's like your storefront. If you don't have a physical store, you're greeting your customers through video. Like it's part and parcel. And, you know, really people are so preoccupied with their own lives. They don't care. They might talk about you for 5 seconds, but they're not thinking about you later on in the day.
And also the news cycle is so quick. Like, look, Trump was shot, and sure, you wouldn't even doubt it. People don't even talk about it now.
No,
so
exactly. It's completely forgotten.
It just happens so quickly. So I think that you have the ability to really mess up, and it'll happen, and then it'll be forgotten about, blown over, and move on. But yeah, I'd agree with that too. Just get started. Like
we started our leggings, Cool Fit. So obviously, I'm big into fitness. I'm like love it. It's definitely, if I wasn't in makeup, I'd be doing something in fitness. But we brought out our Cool Fit leggings, which was a really viable business, and it was like the leggings sold really well, got great feedback and all that. But I didn't have the time to run the two businesses, so we made the decision recently to stop that company. But some people are like, oh, that's so sad, it's terrible. And I'm like, well, it's not for me, because I think I have to put my energy into AU, and plus we tried it. We couldn't do everything, so we have to stop it. But it's okay, that is, because you gave it a bash, you know, you gave it a go. And you know, I'd like to think in time you might have time to go back to it. But it's, you know, I think some people might have been like, as if it's mortifying that you tried it and it didn't work. But I'm like, but sure, at least we did it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think you're a brave woman trying to run two businesses. Christ,
well, now
it's hard enough to keep on top of one of them.
But
yeah, lived and learned. Can we talk a little bit about your marathon running?
Mm-hmm.
So you've talked about fitness, you've talked about your running, but you haven't actually told people what kind of a runner you are. And we were talking about heart rate before we started recording, actually, because I went to that fella Sean to get my heart rate monitored, my VO2 max and all the rest. And anyway, I've kind of given up on it, because I just think that I'm not out 6 days a week running. I can only really run twice, and I just want it to be enjoyable and not necessarily wanting to hit a superior VO2 max. My life is busy enough, but you are hugely into the running.
Yeah.
And yourself and your husband run together, don't you?
Yeah. Well, he's a better runner than me now. But it actually, I used to love doing like 5 or 10Ks. 10K was my max. And then about 5 years ago, or maybe 6 years ago now, Alan used to always do the Dingle half marathon. And he went off to do it one year. And I said to the kids, let's go to Donadee, which is our local forest. And I said, we'll go for a run. And then we started running. They were on the bikes and I was running. And I said, oh, sure, let's see how far we can go. And we ended up that I ran 26K that day. I'd never run anything near it before. And I genuinely came back from that run.
How can you just go and run 26K? That's mad.
I don't know. I know, but I don't know how. I think it's like Forrest Gump, just started running. But
I think some people are built for running, or
but
running.
I'm not a great runner. Like, I'm not a fast runner by any means, but I just loved it, and I got really addictive. And I genuinely, my business started to grow a lot more when I started running longer distances, because, like I said earlier, I started to solve problems, and I also got to daydream. Like, I'm a big daydreamer. I love like daydreaming about stuff, and then like that's where I think of lots of ideas for the business, because my mind will be off in this other universe.
So do you listen to music when you're running, or do you do?
Yeah.
But you can listen to music and dream.
And daydream. Yeah,
okay.
Songs make me daydream, or, you know, things like that. Sometimes I don't listen to anything, but it just got me into running longer distances. And then I ended up doing 2 ultra marathons, which would be 50K. And I just loved it.
You know, like I just ran 50K.
Yeah, I know it's nutty now. Like, but I started running with a group 2 years ago to try and get a little bit faster. And these people I run with are pretty much elite, so they're seriously fast. And then Alan, my husband, like he's just one of those really annoying people that's just good at everything. So when we started running together, I entered him last year into the Amsterdam Marathon because I was doing it. It was on our anniversary. So I was like, that'd be a nice anniversary way to spend our anniversary. Let's run the marathon together. And so he was training away, but not as consistently as me. And he ran 3:03 in the marathon last year. So now he's going for sub 3 this year.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. What did you run the last time you did a marathon?
Mine was 3:27.
And what marathons do you do? Like a many a year?
Well, I did. I've done no more than 2 in the 1 year. I think that's enough it's enough for me because, like I said, when you get to this part of the training block, it's so full on. You're doing your runs per week, but then you also have like a 30K or more in a week as well. So it's a lot of hours to put into it. So I don't have that many hours all the time. But also my hip, I have a real issue with the right side of my hip that I'll get by the marathon and then I'll probably break down for a few weeks and then have to build it back up. So I wouldn't, if I'm trying to run fast, I wouldn't be able to do any more than that. But I definitely want to do
physio on your hip at all?
I do, and there's all the stretching, but I think it's just overload. I was told to see when I started running those longer distances, I didn't have a coach or a trainer at the time, so I could have gone out and done 30K today, and then tomorrow done a little one, then gone on another 30 because I didn't know you weren't meant to. And this was kind of during COVID time as well, so I was running circles of the local roads, just running. And so I think
your neighbours are like, oh geez, there's that mad bitch now coming around again.
Well, I think they all still think I'm a mad bitch. Yeah. I know my family
Look
certainly
at her, Suzie doing her circles.
Yeah.
I might just go for a run. Oh, there you go, 26K, no problem.
Yeah. But I do love it. I do actually, though, to be honest, part of me sometimes think that when you become a runner like that and you start doing all these things, you do get a little bit addicted to it. Like all of us in our group would be addicted, that you struggle to take time off as well, which I think isn't the healthiest
as
way
in
to
a
do
day
it.
off running, you're like, oh, edgy.
Yeah. Or even like down to taper. So this week, obviously, I have the Rotose half marathon this weekend. And I know this isn't coming out. I'll have done it by then. But this week now is called tapering week. So we've much lighter running this week. But you start to get antsy because you're not doing your usual amount. So it's actually quite
like a drug.
difficult.
It is like a drug.
It is. And that's something I am trying to get better at controlling, which is why I do my strength and stuff as well and my HIIT, because I kind of say to myself, I can't, there's a day you mightn't be able to run, or you've got an injury and you have to be okay in that as well. Like you have to be all right with taking the rest, But I do think when people start to do a lot of running, they can get sucked in, quite heavily to it.
And what about your nutrition then? Because if you are doing all of this running, you need to be eating properly. So are you getting proper nutrition advice, or are you cooking well? Look
I'm
at
not.
The face, she's making a grimace.
Yeah, I'm not.
I can tell. Suzie is not a cook.
Can't be good at everything, Laura.
This is true. This is true.
No, I'm not great at that now. I again, my days are so busy that I have a good breakfast, but I generally don't get lunch. And then,
so what do you eat for breakfast? Tell me.
I would have my fruit and Greek yogurt and some granola. And
okay, so your fats, your carbs, your protein.
And then I at lunchtime, it's probably like a protein bar or something with a coffee, because I'm on the run the whole time during the day.
For fuck's sake, Suzie, would you not like prep something for yourself?
I know I should. And I keep telling myself this, because then you see sometimes I have to go to training pretty much like at 7 o'clock. So by the time I get home, it's too late to eat then, because I'd be sick if I ate and then went out running. And then we don't get home till nearly 9 o'clock. So at that stage, I'm like, I'm too tired to cook anything now. So I'll just have a cup of tea and a packet of popcorn or something. But you really feel the difference when you're not fueling. It's
bad for your hormones as well, by the way. Now, this is me putting the pharmacist hat on me.
Yeah. Oh no, I can imagine. I would love, I keep saying to myself, I'm going to go to somebody and get a proper plan together, because I know myself, like say there was a time there about a month or two ago where I was starting to eat properly again, and I was making sure I was making time for meals and stuff, and I felt great. But these last 3 weeks now have been manically busy, and so I haven't really been eating properly at all. And I notice I'm not recovering as quickly. Like, my limbs are sore, I'm tired.
Yeah.
You just can't operate at the same level unless you're doing it properly. Like even during my runs, most people would take gels and stuff like that. Like I take a couple of Skittles with me, and maybe an electrolyte drink, but I very rarely take on fuel, which is absolutely important. Like I know Sean, when he was on with you, was talking about that as well. And it is so important, but it's something I have to try and train myself to do a bit more, because it does make a difference without a doubt.
Are you just one of those people that can kind of get by on not eating and then you just realise that you haven't? Whereas I'm more of I'm a hangry person.
Oh, I would get hangry now when if I haven't had something to eat and I'm really hungry. Like Friday night, I had done my 30K run Friday morning, and then I was working for the day, and I went to see mum and dad because they were heading away. And then when I got home, I had to go to a match with Chloe's straight away. So I had nothing to eat all day. since my breakfast, which was before the run. So anyway, her match ended up going on and I didn't get home till nearly 9 o'clock and I was killing everybody who looked at me. I was just like, give me some food.
Yeah, I'm hungry listening
awful.
to that story because I can't, I'm like a little newborn baby. I can't go through 3 hours without food. I love my grub.
I know. No, I definitely need to, because I know myself as well, even I like, for the amount I work out, I'm always saying I should be in better shape because I don't, and I'd say it's just my body's like hanging on to everything it's given because it just doesn't get fueled right. But I am, now that we have the new place open though, we have a lovely new kitchen in it as well. So I'm definitely going to be more diligent with having lunch in there. Because that's the problem is if I don't have it, I'm too lazy to get into the car and drive to the shop to go and get something.
Yeah.
So I'll just have a coffee and that'll be that. So
meal prepping, isn't that what they say? Now, people say that, but I don't eat. Look, I'm not great at the old meal prep and stuff. I tend to not even know what I'm going to cook that night until I'm open the fridge type thing. But I will buy a load of stuff, throw it in there, and then I know there's stuff in there that can rustle together. Or the kids tend to rustle their own stuff up too.
Well, actually, just 2 weeks ago, no, this is the second week now. A friend of mine, I'm going to sound so ridiculous now, but so I never read you a weekly shop. I'm one of those people who's in and out of the supermarket constantly, you know, filling up on whatever we need day to day. But she was saying to me, she does the online shop or her shop at the start of the week and she has her meals in mind and then she gets organised. So she inspired me and said, right, so the week before last, I did my online shop. I said, this is the meals I'm going to cook that week for the kids and got it all in and managed to get their things done. I don't eat the same thing as them, you see, because we all eat at different times. But I got their things all done. I've done it this week, so I have all my meals in mind, so I have all my ingredients there. So it makes it easier for me when I get home and you have that little bit of time.
When you have the stuff in the fridge is the main thing. But like that, you run out. Sure, Jesus, we've had 2 days out without toothpaste, would you believe? In our house. And every time I go out, I'm like, I should get some toothpaste. And then you forget.
It's like toothpaste and toilet roll, I think, are those things. I always feel like I'm winning at life if I have loads of them in the house. I know. Because then it's like grand.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Suzie, what bit of advice would you give young people today?
There's so many little things I want to say, but I would say just not to worry too much about what other people think, and I would say work hard, because I think some people don't work hard enough anymore.
Fair enough.
I think we've become, as a society, I think there seems to be a lot of downtime. So I think you have to be, if you want to get to a certain place, you have to work hard. So I'd be trying to instill in that there's a good work ethic.
And what is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life to me is just to be content. Genuinely, is to be content. And I have to say I am, even though I have no work-life balance, I'm totally content in the life that I have because it suits me, and everyone's journey is different. So,
Suzie, what a pleasure it is.
Thank you so
to
much.
have had this chat, and you're a very, very inspiring lady.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm definitely getting you out for a run. Once you've finished all this, we'll go out for a run together and have the chats.
For sure, with our heart rate monitors on.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and you can be like, oh, mine's, sub this, whereas mine's like jumping off the charts. Fair enough, we'll do it. Okay, thanks a million.
Thank you.